Hi guys, this is Amanda here, and today I'm doing another reading of Max and Minnie by Catherine Walters. One cold winter's night, Max and Minnie were dozing by the fire, dreaming. Their whiskers twitched as they dreamed. Suddenly, in the corner of the room, behind the sofa, there came a little scruffing, rustling noise. Max sat up. Something had disturbed him. Minnie yawned and stretched out in front of the fire. She sighed. Such a wonderful dream. Mice galore, lots of juicy little sparrows. Voles, added Max, and shrews. Both cats licked their lips greedily. I've never caught a mouse, said Max. I've never even seen a real one. Psst, what was that? A tiny scratching noise, as if a small animal was scurrying across the floor. A mouse. Both cats sprang to their feet, and the mouse was off in a flash, running back behind the sofa to its mouse hole. The cats followed. It's gone, cried Max. We'll never be able to squeeze down the mouse hole after it. But he was wrong. The mouse hole, once mouse size, was now big enough for two rather plump cats. Come on, cried Minnie. What's stopping us now? The mouse hole looked very dark and mysterious. The two cats padded along until suddenly, Max, cried Minnie, there's a wood out there. How can there be? Said Max. We live in the middle of town. Both cats poked their noses out of the hole and blinked. They were surrounded by tall trees. The wind rustled, filling their nostrils with wild smells of fresh rabbit and mice. It must be a magic mouse hole, said Max. Max, look, whispered Minnie. What are they? Through the undergrowth gleamed thousands and thousands of eyes. Max's tail lashed from side to side. I bet they're everything we ever dreamed of. Mice and voles, rats and shrews, rabbits and nice plump birds. Said Minnie, her mouth watering. Where shall we begin? Right here, cried Max, taking off after a squirrel. Max, come back, cried Minnie, but he had already disappeared through the trees. As Minnie sat in the middle of the clearing, wondering what to do next, she caught sight of a green object hopping in front of her. It was too good to resist. Gotcha! She cried, snapping it up. Her mouth was full of green and slimy frog. She spat it out. It didn't taste too good. So much for a first catch. What was that? A sudden rustle in the bushes behind her. Max? She called. A flash of white teeth bare in a terrible snarl. It wasn't Max. It was a mink, though Minnie didn't know this. But she did know the creature was set upon eating her. With a yowl, she turned tail and sped off through the trees. The mink followed close behind. It was pretty nasty being hunted. She could almost smell the dreadful creature's hot breath. Oh, please help me, someone, she wailed. But Max wasn't there, and Minnie's heart was nearly busting. Then suddenly there was a loud whirring of wings. A large owl with fierce round yellow eyes grasped her firmly in his talons and flew with her into the air. Minnie felt a bit sick. She didn't know if it was worse being chased or being dangled in the air by an owl who could eat her at any moment. Then she spotted Max. He was stuck up a tree, mewing piteously. Oh, please, let me down, she begged the owl. When the owl heard Minnie speak, he hooted in surprise. He had thought that she was a rabbit. Then he dropped her, and she fell, down and down, till she landed beside Max in the tree. I chased the squirrel up here, said Max, but I can't get down again. Both cats peered through the branches. The tree was very tall, and its trunk was smooth and slippery. I wish we'd never gone down that mouse hole, said Minnie. I wish we'd stayed safely at home by the fire. Nothing's like it was in my dream, said Max. It grew very cold and began to snow. We can't stay here, said Max. We'll freeze to death. So they gradually and carefully began to slither and slide down the smooth trunk, until thump, they reached the bottom. Now we'll find a mouse hole, said Minnie. The two cats began to look forward to a warm fire, creamy evaporated milk, and a plate of cooked chicken liver. But Max and Minnie were completely lost. The snow was fast covering all the woodland tracks. There was no nice plump mice, no voles, no birds, just a white, cold, unfriendly wood. "Yo!" cried Max miserably, and "Yo!" replied a voice from the undergrowth. It was a cat, a large, coarse-haired tabby with fierce yellow eyes. "Lost, are you?" said the cat. "Looking for your mouse hole?" "Oh yes," said Minnie eagerly. "How did you guess?" "I can recognize a town cat anywhere," he said. "I can see you're not rough, tough wildcats. And it's not the first time a cat has come through the mouse hole to the wet wildwood." The two wet and hungry cats paddled after the wildcat, till they came to the clearing where Max had chased the squirrel. And there was their mouse hole. "Goodbye," they cried to their wildcat friend. He barely answered them. He was off through the trees, chasing a squirrel. "I think," said Max in a small voice, "I think I prefer my food served up cooked on a plate." In a couple of twitches of a cat's tail, they were back in their very own sitting room. Max and Minnie curled up thankfully in front of the dying fire. They were town cats, really. It was all too frightening out there in the wet wild woods. The next morning, they looked for their mouse hole behind the sofa. It had completely disappeared. Thank you for watching and please subscribe.